Hello, dear friends. This is Kardec Radio at 11 p.m. and we are here with you for another program on mediumship and attunement. Mediumship and attunement is a program based on the book Mediumship and Attunement by the Spirit Emmanuel through Chico Xavier, the medium. The book was psychographed by Chico Xavier in 1985 to 1986 and published then 33 years ago. Today we're studying chapter 10. It's about mediumship. That's the title of the chapter. When we go, just for a brief introduction, when we go to the Medium's book by Allan Kardec, we have several chapters. Of course, Kardec is an educator. He was an educator, and as a wonderful educator, he divided the Medium's book in different parts, two parts. The part one is about preliminary observations, and part two, spirit manifestations. And he talks about many things. And in chapter 15, he titles it Mediums. And he talks about mediums of different categories, telling us the following. Chapter 15, Mediums. Let me just read to you one or two excerpts that will be preparatory for us, okay? Every individual who senses the influence of spirits to any degree of intensity is a medium. This faculty is inherent to humankind. It therefore does not constitute an exclusive privilege, and there are very few individuals who do not possess it, at least in a rudimentary stage. Thus we can state that everyone is a medium to a certain degree. This is item 159 of chapter 15, the Medium's book by Allan Kardec. Okay, why we're reading this? Because Emmanuel, in the chapter we are going to study, talks about mediumship. You and I are mediums, so what are you doing with your mediumship? Are you studying to understand it? You need to go to a particular school to do so. And you may be asked, but Vanessa, where is it? Spiritist centers. Spiritist centers is where we safely learn about it because we use our reasoning. We're not afraid at reasoning the phenomena. Plus, we also practice it, but our practice is not practice for practice. We practice to serve, to help the general good. Do you remember in previous chapters when Emmanuel was referring to all of us as dealers of the common good? Yes, remember when we were supposed to exercise it in our daily lives. So mediums are dealers of the common good. We no longer use mediumship for the interest of ourselves or others alone. It's for the common good. So we'll never use mediumship to harm anyone. And if we want to know what it is to do that, which means the ignorant side of it, the evil side of it, read the books 2,000 years ago by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier, or 50 years later by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. You can find the books at Amazon.com and buy them easily. You can even buy the Kindle version and go through it all, okay? And we're sharing this with you because in those books you're gonna find true accounts of people who are mediums and they misused it. We're no longer there. So what is it about mediumship? Are you ready? I see wonderful friends. Welcome, friends, to join us today. And let me say hi, because this is a classroom where we're learning together. If you're listening to this or watching on demand, a big hug to you too. Feel yourself enveloped by the emanations of the loving light. Jailton, welcome Jailton. Raquel Bakeshi, welcome, welcome. Daisy, how are you? Teresa Castro, how are you? Nora Brazil, welcome. Paula, welcome my friend. John De Rosa, dear friend, welcome. Andrea Torres, yes, we're praying for Dominic. Thank you, Andrea. Justina, big hug to you and the beautiful family. Dulce, a big hug to you. We need to talk, right? Felipe, thank you, Felipe. And big hug to Daniela. Melissa, how are you? Carol Correa, dear friend, good seeing you here. Karina Lisi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome everyone who is here and who is joining and will be joining later on demand. Mediumship, right, Sunshine? Welcome. Are you ready? Let us study this together, okay? Often we prepare the study reading the chapter in Portuguese, revising the chapter in English, and yet when we sit down here at 11 p.m., many things are learned on spot with the spirit mentors. We're never alone, okay? So, about mediumship, chapter 10. Let us be attentive. Let us put mind over matter, be very mindful, and listen to the voice of the wisdom that comes from Emmanuel, okay? He begins the chapter titling it About Mediumship. What else does he have to say? He begins, to be a medium is not simply to become a vehicle for phenomena that transcend others' understanding. We have to say, recently many people were disappointed about a particular medium and the misconduct, a medium that for the longest time mesmerized many people. That's not what the Spiritist teachings make us understand. It's not about mesmerizing anyone. It's not about playing games with anyone. It's not an ego-centered phenomenon. It's actually what? So it's not about phenomena. Many people still don't understand it. So he says, above all, it is indispensable to understand the possibility of serving in the mediumistic faculty. Understanding that such a faculty is characteristic of all creatures, all individuals. That's precisely what we read in chapter 15, item 159 of the Medium's book by Allan Kardec. When Kardec himself states that mediumship is in everyone. So what do you do with it? If we send kids to school to boost their intellect, hopefully much more than that, social skills, character formation, but at least it's about boosting their intellect. What about schools where we learn how to educate our mediumship? Friends, since 1857, with Allan Kardec, it's not that long ago. It's only 162 years ago. We have been called to organize spiritist centers, spiritist groups, to educate this essential ability in us. To what? To serve. Right, Rihanna? To serve. Welcome. However, he says, it turns out that people habitually wait for the protecting entities during hours of trial and suffering to throw themselves into study and work, almost always with extreme difficulties in taking advantage of the lessons that visit them, when our simplest duty is to continue in peace towards the encounter of the superior spirituality, shifting our own initiative in the firm ground of the good. Many people wait for obsessions to come, for problems that come, to go after. Oh, I forgot about my spirituality. Oh, I always knew I am a medium, and now I can't sleep. Now I can't do. Please do not work on it while you feel happy, while you feel at ease. And let us never tell a teenager, you're too young for this. Why we're saying this? Because many adults turn to the youth and say, yeah, take your time, enjoy your youth. Do not, discipline too much yourself, because then sooner or later you have to do it. By doing so, we're just making them postpone their own happiness. According to André Luiz, at 16, and it's written in the book Disobsession. Disobsession is a book by André Luiz through Chico Xavier. He says, the good age to practice mediumship safely, 16. But to study it, people can study at any time. I can tell Virginia at 5, we're mediums. And I often tell her, we need to learn to control ourselves, not because I master it, but because I'm learning it too. She needs to learn. Every child needs to learn. You're a medium. Observe how you change what you're feeling when you meet this or that person. Did you see it? It's like an experiment. You are not the friends that you have met. Why are you imitating them? It's emotional contagion. Mediums are more vulnerable, susceptible. As Kardec says, they are more susceptible to impressions. They are more impressionable, says Kardec in the Medium's book. So we needed to teach them from the get-go. Observe your emotions, control your impulses. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Where is this coming from? What do I do with it? Am I going to feed it, or am I going to just transmute it? Okay, so this is a good exercise for us in the next 24 hours. To observe our emotions as center stage for mediumship. And ask, why am I feeling this? Where is this coming from? What do I do with it? Is this emotion healthy? Is it boosting virtual acquisition? Because a life centered in virtual acquisition is a happier life. So Emmanuel then says, nature itself is prodigal in such teachings of being directed to doing the common good. The soil, says Emmanuel, is a medium of the flower that materializes, as much as the flower is the mediatrix of the perfume that embalms the atmosphere. Think about it, the soil, the ground, being the medium of the flower. The flower being the medium of the perfume that is emanated to the atmosphere. We'll find mediumship everywhere. The sun is the medium of the light that sustains humanity, as humanity is the instrument of planetary progress. The sun is the medium of the light that sustains humanity. and humanity the instrument of planetary progress. Humanity is you and I. Did you know you are an instrument of planetary progress? But Vanessa, I don't do anything. That's what you think. But Emmanuel is redefining our presence as instruments for the collective progress. How is the collective gonna feel better if we don't partake in its progress consciously as humans, of course? Because the other kingdoms of nature, they do it without noticing, without consciousness. But when we gain consciousness, it depends on our choice. Intention matters. Right, Lusa Boya, welcome. Right, Renata, welcome. So friends, ask ourselves, who are we feeling ourselves as instruments of planetary progress? So it's a shame when we raise our children to think about themselves only. Since their prenatal life, it's vital that we tell our children, and even as teachers educating our children, you were born, or you're going to be born, to help and to serve, to learn to love and to serve, to learn to love and to serve, to learn to love and to serve. You're not here to make a career, to make money for yourself and settle in and have an early retirement, and that's an illusion. We've been there, done that for lives. And look at us where we are. Wounded, feeling guilt, feeling lots of sorrows and remorse. Why? Because we were selfish. That's selfishness. No, I am going to school to learn and to help others today and tomorrow. I'm going to work on this or that profession for the benefit of all. And the money that I earn is not going to direct to myself alone. So my goal is not to retire, because a spiritist doesn't retire. A spiritist doesn't retire. In reality, doesn't count the days to retirement. Because one, we enjoy work. Two, there's no actual retirement. There is just a different way of working, being useful. Right? We don't think of easy days either, because we're here to help and to serve. Our whole perspective is changed. Is it too much? That's the reality. How do we know it? In the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 5, which is the longest chapter, it says, "Blessed are the afflicted." And there is a moment in which we read current causes of afflictions, present causes of afflictions, and then past causes of affliction. And then we're going to learn that we have already incurred in many mistakes. Now we are here, the consequences are evident, and we need to adjust ourselves to live better. Not only for ourselves, but to fulfill our role in the universe according to God's will. Our will calibrated with God's will. Right? Okay, what else does Emmanuel has to say about mediumship? He says, all apprentices of faith can become mediums of charity, through which the Spirit of Jesus operates in 1,000 different ways in every sector of our evolutionary march. Okay, we'll read it again. All apprentices of faith, students like ourselves, can become mediums of charity, of benevolence, of indulgence, of forgiveness, through which the Spirit of Jesus operates in 1,000 different ways in every sector of our evolutionary march. Why does he say Jesus operates through us? Because in this planet, we're under his governance. We won't do the good ever alone. All the good we do is reinforced, supplied, supervised, and vouched by the governance of our planet. That's why the good ideas never come from us. Never. They come from above. Because we're not capable? No. Because we're not there yet. There's nothing original in us. We're always instruments. That's why this chapter is very vital. In between the lines, Emmanuel is telling us, do not seek to be original, because that doesn't exist. You are an instrument, so lower your expectation. I see many people in the millennial generation creating a mentally ill state of anxiety, because we all have anxiety, but there are people who have higher levels of anxiety because they are trying to hit the jackpot of originality. That doesn't exist. Why? Because we're being instruments. When you're an instrument, you don't create anything. You co-create. We're co-creators always. The only original being is God. We're creatures of God. The original one, God. And we co-create. We don't create anything. We don't invent anything. We discover what exists. We unveil what there is. So then anxiety goes down. We're not going to think, oh my gosh, I need to create something so new people have never thought about. I talk to many teens, and that's one of the main anxieties. I need to be original. I need to be original. I need to find something that is going to be striking. They look at Bill Gates, they look at Steve Jobs, and this and that and the other, and they interpret. They were original. I have to do the same. Go to a garage, drop off, drop out. No. They were mediums. And you're a medium too. So, down with your expectation. We're equally co-creators. That's humility. It takes humility for us to really settle in and say, yes, I'm a co-creator like everybody else. If God wants me to be a co-creator of his original ideas, I will be the instrument passing on to humanity. But it doesn't come from me. Our spiritist center doesn't come from us. It comes through us, not from us, but through us. You may be the doorkeeper. You may be the supervisor, however we name it. But it's not ours. It doesn't come from us. But there is order, of course. Like in this planet, there's a governance. Jesus Christ. So, Emmanuel continues. Support your fellow beings, and you'll find the best formula for safe mediumistic development. Be a co-creator. Let us humble ourselves and support one another. Simple. Sometimes supporting is giving a hug, sending a message, saying a prayer. Be understanding. And it doesn't need to be like supporting, like carrying the person in your arms as if they depend on you. That's symbiosis. You don't want to develop symbiosis with anyone. No. We want to be responsible, but we don't want to be symbiotically related to others. To the point that we breathe, they breathe. No. They may breathe at a different time, but we're supporting them. But they need to do what they need to do at their own time. We don't do everything together, the same way, etc., etc. We don't want to develop symbiosis with anyone, neither with family members, nor friends, nor groups, or nations. Okay? In planting sympathy by means of a simple word, we establish a renewing current of aid around us. Sometimes just cheering people up. Did you see how people are in need of a good word? Sometimes you look at people and say, you have a beautiful smile. But Vanessa, if I say that, they're going to think I'm hitting on them. So then don't. But say something else. Say, thank you. Your work is very efficient. Thank you for being so fast at replying to this message. Thank you for being so professional. And, or, you know, I really appreciate your kindness or your loving approach. Saying, calling people by their names, look at them in the eyes with respect. But at the same time, kindness, he's saying. Right now, talking about kindness, I want to raise a thought and a prayer at the end to our dear Thich Nhat Hanh, who is slowly departing back home. We owe so much to this missionary on earth who has taught us so much about kindness, gentleness, and peace, mindfulness. So today we're going to be grateful to his own mediumship way of being, a wonderful peacemaker, okay? Do not wait for the touch of intelligences strange to you, so that you become the channel of joy and fraternity for the benefit of others and of yourself. And I know many people who are waiting for high spirits to come and say, you're the next best medium. You should do this. You Hey, hold your horses there, huh? Do not wait. You're a child of God and that suffices, right? We keep singing this, but it's inevitable. I am a child of God. But what does that mean? You are a child of God. We've reincarnated to learn to do good. That's the proposal given to us. I wake up saying, today I'm going to learn more, serve more, and love even more than yesterday. Right? So, you can translate, he says. You can translate the message of the Lord wherever you find yourself by learning, by loving, by constructing, and serving always. Because above the mediums of this or that spiritual entity, this or that phenomenon that often frightens or moves people, sometimes not educating or edifying anyone, remains the conscience and the heart devoted to the supreme good, through which the Lord manifests himself, extending to us all the blessing of the better life. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Why? Do the good, and we are being the mediums of the good. That's it. Co-creating the good, doing the good always, seeking the good always. And because of that, we learn to be quieter. There are people that out of anxiety and need of appreciation, they talk. Shh. There is a book by Thich Nhat Hanh named Silence. I have it at my nightstand to learn about it every day. Silence. One of the virtues that has been delivered by Benjamin Franklin for his own self-transformation. Silence. We don't know much about silence. When to be quiet and calm down our anxieties or need of self-approval, of of appreciation by others. So right now, talking about mediumship and being a medium of the good, I'm going to invite you to join me in a prayer. But this prayer, we want to go especially to our dear Thich Nhat Hanh, and of course to many people in the world who may be in need. But Thich Nhat Hanh, the Nobel Peace Prize, the Buddhist monk from Vietnam, that really transformed lives, including mine, because I remember in 1998 learning to be an immigrant in the United States before I had my citizenship in America. Struggling to adapt, I read his book, Peace is Every Step. A spiritist friend of mine gave it to me, and it changed my life in many ways. Because then I learned a concept that I never thought through truthfully. Peace is every step. So as Thich Nhat Hanh is as a wonderful medium of the high governance of the earth on earth, we want to send him the best vibrations too. Let us close our eyes and feel gratitude. Dear God, you are so loving that you send to us teachers, masters, connected to the heart of our Master of all Masters. Tonight, we would like you to multiply the crumbs of our gratitude to our dear Thich Nhat Hanh, that slowly, gradually departs back home. May we receive our gratitude for a life in the good, promoting peace for individuals and nations, teaching us about being your children, not so much doing, but being. May we learn the power of the present, being with you, and calm our anguishes and anxieties, feeling whole inside of us, and calming down our mouths to make your presence be felt more evidently. Feeling your loving vibration, may these emanations also envelop those who are victims of disasters in the world, of difficult expiations and trials. May they all receive the help of relief, comfort, and hope. And we thank you once again for sending Emmanuel, Chico, Xavier to our lives in these unforgettable teachings that calibrate ourselves to you, for you, and with you. With your blessings, we conclude this study of tonight, hoping to continue being useful and learning wherever we are, whether we stay awake during the day or sleeping during the night. And so be it. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you, Livia Moraes. A big hug to you. Tomorrow when we come back, we're going to study a chapter titled Mediumistic Practice. And in that, he's going to teach us more. Be prepared, because Emmanuel has always something else to teach us. Thank you, friends. A big hug, a lot of love. Thank you, dear Rihanna. Thank you, Carol Correa. Until tomorrow, God willing.